Here we are on the sun is shining. Yeah, we're gonna get some of that clearing and we're gonna get some of that gold. Rock and roll, we're heading back. This is the purchase for my birthday. Treated me, it costed $46. I got everything on special, everything on special. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. And 1, 2, 3, 5 items, 5 items, 5 items. Was the cost $46.20 Canadian. So I'm already now left with only $20 for the month of November unless something comes up. So let's go rock and roll. Gonna check what I got for 46 Canadians. Let's rock and roll with that. Gonna put it here, right here. Gonna flip. Let's go flip. Rock and roll 24/7 for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. Let's go. For the bakers, for the butchers, for the truckers, I spent $46.20. So I got $20 leftovers to get me for the month of November. It is November 9th, so today I'm gonna be celebrating that excitement. And of course gonna be celebrating. It's like 6 turns into 9, right? If you turn it upside down, 6 turns into 9, you know. So that's what I got. Let's see what I got right here. So let's get it. What I got a cake that was on special, reduced by $7. And I had to ask which country was from, of course, because I don't know no countries of origin, because this was imported, but it was reduced by $5, and it's good until November 17, best before date, November 17. So it's from Moldova. Never had a cake from Moldova before. So it said, what I liked was the name. The name was, of course, what was the name? The name was bird milk cake. First Moldova, from Moldova, bird milk cake on special, $20. So I got that cake right here. Gonna put it in the backpack, and I'm gonna put it in the backpack, and then we're gonna go towards the sun. We're gonna get for that second part today. And I got some halva, big stack of halva, as you can see here, big stacks of that halva. I don't know which country. She couldn't tell me which country it was. She said probably from Canada, because we got a lot of that sunflower seeds made of sunflower. So it's, of course, it grew up in price. I used to buy this. So it's $6.79 for the halva. That's what we gotta get doing for that rock and roll, and we gotta get that halva on the go. And that's what we're gonna get doing. And then I got another halva. This was 180 grams here. This, she couldn't tell what country it was, but she said probably from Moldova. That's what it said. And you got some German on it. You get some German. You get some different, of course, whatever the case may be. But it was affordable. $2.99. So this is halva. So maybe from Ukraine, good until 2025. So I got that. Then I got some cheese, Canadian feta. It's $9.08 Canadian feta cheese. And another halva. First time that I buy this halva right here was $6.90, $10.99 the kilos, with arachide, with, of course, peanuts. Says rah. You got that RA at the back, RA, like my retrograde amnesia. Let's rock and roll. So we're gonna go get it. So those 5 items I got for my birthday, a little treat. I'm gonna share with my anonymous friend, and we're gonna go towards the sun. You know how we're gonna go for that rock and roll. Put it in the backpack and put that backpack in. Let's get it ready to rock and that roll, because we're going back to that headquarters. As you know, XYZ, put in that backpack and let's go for that rock and roll. A few minutes. We're gonna do a little bit of backpack, and I gotta get back to headquarters because I need to cook. So let's go. 1, 2. It's about 44 pounds. Total, because I got some minutes. So let's go. How many seconds I got? Gonna get back to headquarters. Grateful, thankful for my rent, paid, electricity bills, pay. Hey, somebody gotta sing for that public security for that popo. Nobody perfect. Not even myself. Sometimes clumsy with that Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism, and of course I got that LOV. Sun shining. We got that LOV. Put the backpack on, and we're gonna go drive it in back as we go, you know, for the XYZ, and always for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, farmers, the grocery store clerks. Imagine all the truckers on the road now. Imagine them singing, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all those, of course, who are involved in the production, distribution of food. That's what it is now, and you gotta get it on those goals, how they built all these structures. Sometimes meditate. They're building all the structures here, you know, they're building all those structures, how they were built. I always admire the construction workers. I don't know much about construction, but I do, of course, know a little bit about how they were built and how they're building right there for that XYZ, and I admire the construction workers who they build it. And imagine all those pillars to build, of course, which of course were built with brains and muscle, and that's what we gotta get doing. We got another buildings to build. So I got my $46 on the go, and gotta get it for that rock and roll, you know, for the butchers, for the farmers, to all who come to join us here across North America, the North American Collective Civilisation Complex, the North American Civilization, the North American Civilizational Complex, and anyways, my Asperger's makes me to stare at people, but and also, you know, because sometimes I get those homosexual desires, so I don't mean to stare, but you know, being that I am pansexual, androgynous pansexual, you know, play that rainbow dragon, so sometimes I look at men in a certain way, which is a bit attracted, but you know, that's it, I guess. It's not a pride parade every day, you know, it's not pride parade every day once a year, but it is with me. But play that defense like that hardball ball, you know. Let's go, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League. Reduce those costs. Forget all that. Just focus on what I'm saying for action, course of action today with consent. Hug like you never hugged before today with consent. Hug like you never hugged before today with consent. Hug like you never hugged before today with consent. Hug like you never hugged before today. As I live at Carpe Diem every day since I died of COVID. I'm gonna be watching for the cars left and right. Turn my head, you know. Turn my head for the left and right. And gotta get it for the crossing to get it on. Thank you, merci. Gotta get it for the cross in the sky. Get it for the love, and you know. Gotta make sure that I cross prudently, you know, because if I don't cross prudently, of course, the brakes might malfunction. What if the brakes malfunction? What if the citizen driver presses the accelerator? Boom, and then you go, and then boom, wow. So the body first, the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And cars, they can be expensive. $1 million car, $1 trillion car, 1 million Teslas, you know. Watch those fingernails, you know. So that's what it is for that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And you know, my brothers and sisters, or North Americans, you know, we're not perfect, and tough times for myself also, you know. I was depressed, suicidal, and you know, started working out, training, exercising on my fitness journey, and lost between 80 and 93 pounds, you know, and whatever the case may be. And with I survived being a surprise attack a few years ago in the Montreal Metro at night, and I fell, I hit my head, and I thought that was it for me as well. You know, I had a broken eye, went to the hospital, and that was my Cillian Pirate episode. Thereafter, I was Cillian Pirate episode. Survived COVID. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease for me, you know. Being reborn since COVID, of course, 2020 February, March. Being reborn since COVID, and sun shines, and we need a new light, you know. We got to get that new light, got to build that forgotten goddess temple. I think that's the motive, I would say, to build the goddess. I say goddess, GODDSS. The forgotten goddess temple in Montreal, on the mountain, my second home. On Montreal, my second home, Mount Royal. We're surrounded by an island, of course, 2.5 billion people. 2.5 billion people, the big island. Island metropolis. 2.5 billion people. Million, correction. Million people live just on the island. So always got to be that circumvention. We got to get it on the X. And here I got to turn my head when I cross left or right, you know. Because sometimes the brakes malfunction, of course. And we got to get that accelerate, okay. So we got to get that acceleration, and I got to turn my head left or right because I'm in the public. In the public, I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations, which I don't have in the normal circumstances of life. And look how these were built. Got to salute the Hydro-Quebec builders of the past. That's why we got clean electricity. Always meditating from a geopolitical perspective, because my head is always geopolitics, because that's one of my holy trinity of obsessive interest, and it's geopolitics 24/7. The study, the analysis of geopolitical theoretical analysis. And I predicted what's happening now. And 5 years ago in October, I predicted an international conflagration back in 2019. And I've written many tens of thousands of pages of philosophy and protocols for the NORAD NATO complex, and it's geopolitics, fitness, dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport. and rock and roll for those who build the aqueducts, public workers, the aqueducts, the houses, the housing complex, of course, all the Hydro-Quebec, the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, construction workers, those on steel toes in the warehouses, in the steel toes on the warehouses, on the steel toes, warehouses, steel. We need a DRT, debt refusion treaty, for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. Is the only solution to the fact that we pay 46.5 billion in interest. Thank you, bus drivers, train conductors, those who build 20th century workers. Let's get that North America Collective Workers Party. We got to build a lot of steel and metal right here, which we'll build with brains and muscle. And we got to repaint it, of course, and we got to repaint it with that, So that's what we got to get doing on the go. That's what we got to get doing on the go, and that's what we got to get doing on the now. We got to rebuild all this North American complex, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's what we gotta get doing. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's what we gotta get doing. Because of course I predicted what's happening now back in 2019, an international conflagration. So it's for them. And those youth over there, it's for them that I'm willing to carry a weapon. For them, for the youth, so they can dance in the streets safely. That's what we're fighting for, being armed and carrying a weapon for. Security forces, butchers, and NORAD troops, and NORAD Canadian Armed Forces. We're gonna put a new protocol, Dragon's Protocol. You gotta come and we gotta go change some diapers together in the daycares, before you put on a uniform, because it's the children, the youth first, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And of course, when I crossed Canada 7 years ago, I crossed Canada 7 years ago, I established the strongest esprit de corps, my fellow Canadians. I was born here in Montreal in the past life, previous incarnations, and here's we gotta get doing on that rock and roll with that. So that's what we're gonna get doing, man. And that's worth defending for the youth. The youth, they're innocent, The karma of others, myself including, suffered, struggled, been depressed and suicidal. It's not all about me, it's not all about you, it's the individual and the collective. The North American Collective Workers Party, for today and for tomorrow. The Dragon Army parallel to the Dancing Goddess Army is my call. I spent less than 50 bucks on my birthday, which I'm joyous. I'm not hitting that strip club, forget about it. If I would own a strip club, strip joint, it would be Rainbow Dragon, blacks and whites. Rainbow Dragon does black and white, does black and white, and Rainbow Dragon, I love my blacks, my whites, and North Americans, and the freedom gotta be insured, If you're lost, if you're incarcerated, brothers and sisters, we gotta work on that North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. I wouldn't like to give anybody to give 5 years or 15 years or 20 years, So what got you in that situation, better use the violence. And I do not like violence. I do not like violence. I'd rather be kissing, hugging, working out, training, exercising, and channeling the aggression, doing push-ups and hugs and building. And this to be understood and channeled. And anger, I was angry, depressed, suicidal, but now I gotta get in on that fitness, and I encourage all to work out, train, exercise, and that's it, that's all with the rock and roll with that. That's all with the rock and roll with that. So we gotta get some of those LOV. And if I can be of some help somehow to somebody, just ask policy, and we gotta get doing for that dude. We just gotta give that love. Look at that beautiful moon, Because now my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee. I want to be loved. I will to be loved. Somebody said to me I'll be famous, but you know what? Rather than be famous, I'd rather be LOVE. Love me good. Black, white, and rainbow, men and women. Love me good, men and women, black, white, and rainbow. Love me good. Give me, offer me some kisses, some hugs, stuff like that. Being an ASPE, that's how we focus on those more practical values of doing, and being an XYZ. And all who come to join us here from coast to coast, North Americans unite. We got to get that collective, and we got to implement the protocols, and be, of course, on the security service, and my new 911 protocols for the 21st century, based on my philosophies, based on that, Rainbow Dragon's philosophy, and to be for security and service, and integrated, 7 years ago, I crossed Canada 2017, crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event in my life made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, because I had an awakening. Wow, what a country. I'm not too sentimental about the king. The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. It's just been for years marching, and the king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent, and that's what we gotta get doing on that. That's what we gotta get doing on that. You know, so we gotta get doing on that XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on the do. You know, so. It's a new light, new sun, and here we are for the XYZ, and for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. I'm grateful. I don't have a birth certificate, so I can't confirm that my birthday is November 6th, but on all my documentation that I possess from the 90s, you know, a long time ago, for high school diploma and citizenship card and Medicare, and of course, driving. I don't remember driving a car. Having a car because my memory blacks out. I got retrograde amnesia. You know, I don't have a problem accessing my memory since prior to that incident where I was attacked by surprise. That was attacked by surprise. It was a surprise attack. I was attacked. I fell down, hit my head, had a dislocated shoulder, and that's how it is. And I was left with scars. I lived my Cillian episode, pirate episode. So I'm hyper vigilant, and I worked out, train, exercise, and I'm still working out, train, exercise every day to play that defense, you know, play that defense. So say with that love you, we gotta get it on the go. Oh, we gotta get it on the go, you know. So that's what it is with that, you know. So it is what it is. So we gotta get it on the go for now, and that's what it is, man, you know. Black, white, or rainbow, play defense, and Dragon Army, North American Integrated Citizen Integrated Force. We gotta have to play that defense. We gotta have to play that defense. Defense like that hardball ball defense, you know. We gotta have to play that defense like that hardball ball. Defense like that hardball ball, you know. That's what we're gonna get to play, that defense like that hardball ball. And for the youth, for the love. Somebody gonna make love today. That gives me hope. Hug like you never hugged before, and we gotta get it on the go. And the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, LOV to the firefighters, celebrating my birthday today. And you know, I'm grateful. I overspent a bit. I had a little budget, you know, but I say, hey, it's my birthday, and I'm gonna have leftovers, and gonna eat a little bit on that leftovers on the side. And I guess it's my birthday, so I celebrated with what I had, you know, and that's what it is with what I had, and we gotta get it on the XYZ, and that's what it is for that, you know. So it is XYZ, and that's what it is, man. And we gotta get that defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And 5 years ago, again, I predicted what's happening now, because that's my obsessive interest, in parallel to sports and dancing being my favorite sport, and not just dancing, but of course rock and roll. I predicted what's happening now in a general manner. I predicted an international conflagration back in 2019 in October. So since then, kind of my life re-begins. When I had COVID, I survived COVID. I thought I was gonna die, and nothing that I want to go back to. I died on the island. I'm being reborn on the island, you know. That's what I say. I died on the island. I'm being reborn on the island. And since COVID, you know, I live carpe diem it every day. If want to offer some business, and support a dream, the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which is fundamentally a public-private partnership, a call for a public-private partnership, and laying the foundations with 718 trillions of kisses, 718 trillions of kisses. That's what I'm laying the foundations for, the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. And it's pledge your allegiance, pledge your allegiance 24/7. Pledge your allegiance 24/7. It's pledge your allegiance 24/7. That's what it is with me. And now we're gonna get it on the side, and gotta get back to headquarters before sunset, because got some lasagna to cook, and I'm gonna make some mashed potatoes with it. So that's gonna be my dinner tonight. I'm gonna make some sangria, because I got some leftover local wine, and that's about it with that. And we gotta get it for that drink, and we gotta get it for the do, and You know, we got a lot of rebuilding to do and healing to do, and survive COVID, and survive COVID myself. Was in the COVID 24/7, and we gotta get doing on the XYZ and support the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is fundamentally, I gotta watch it because it's one way, eh? It's one way. So here, if they come, it can only come from that matter. So I always technical analysis of crossing the street prudence, because in my mind it's what if the brakes do not function properly? So if the brakes don't function properly, that means you get a few meters ahead, right? So it's always a constant, I should say, vigilance rather than fear, to be vigilant rather than fear, because you can't just go on fear all the time. But like me being hyper vigilant, having survived surprise attack and whatever have you, scars, but I live for today, every day, carpe diem, and that's what it is for now. And I always say, what if the brakes malfunction? What if the citizen gets a solar flare from my Pope the King the Sun, a solar flare from my Pope the King the Sun, a solar flare from my Pope the King the Sun? And guess those brakes presses the accelerator instead of the brake, presses the accelerator instead of the brake, presses the accelerator instead of the brake. So those are things which I gotta be meditating upon. Those are things which can, of course, happen in a matter when you transgress, when you go in the street and beautiful red birds singing those 555 even more. I love me some of that red. Wow, look at that beautiful red. Red's my favorite color, and always brings me joy to see a little bit of red and color and nature here in the midst of the metropolis. 2.5 million people. We're truly blessed with this metropolis, and although financially struggling, I'm financially struggling, financial stress, financial struggle, but my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and gonna celebrate my birthday. 11 is coming. Today is the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall fell, and my favorite citizen there get a nod, and I saluted. And I gotta be. Sometimes I know people from 3.5 years, 4 years, but I made a lot of friends. I lost a lot of friends due to Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autistics. We Aspies don't have a lot of friends because we're often misunderstood, and it's been a bit with that. But I'm only looking for friends with benefits now, friends with benefits only now, friends with benefits only now, friends with benefits only from now on. And pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family. Pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family. Pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family. Adrian Hanna Dragon founding, laying the foundations first and foremost with trillions of kisses for anybody willingly loving the kingdom, starting from the North American Union, North American Democratic Republic, for the North American Collective Workers Party, right from the island of Montreal, the Hawk, HAWK, Hawk Island, my totem bird, and that's what we do 24/7 for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, always thinking about those now, who flipping some of those burgers, preparing some cheeseburgers, some ham, making a little bit of those sandwiches, truckers, hey, that's worth fighting for right there. Those two senior citizens, somebody still love you, senior citizens who build the highways, the aqueducts, the Hydro-Quebec, to build the collective North American complex, the stadiums. Let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum together. Let's build the North American on the Canadian-US border, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, the North American Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border. And that's worth fighting for right there. See, they're holding hands, citizens. Senior citizens who may be married for more than 40 years or so. I'm speculating, but senior citizens there, holding hands, and that's worth fighting for. That's worth carrying a weapon for. And the youth and those that love, and those right there, that's worth carrying a weapon, being armed for, and defending there. I'll defend you coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast. Like I'm Vlad the Impaler.
I'm so confused with it.
Vlad the Impaler, Dracula protocol, I love, we don't have to go that way, but just in case there's an invasion army, I have something called the Dracula protocol, something called the Dracula protocol. It's something parallel to the Hannibal directive in Israel, something parallel to the Hannibal directive in Israel, but for the defense, and no suicide needed, but for the defense of the collective, for the defense of the collective, the North American Collective Complex, the North American Collective Complex, for the defense, of course, for the defense only, like that hardball, black hardball. We're gonna play that defense. Salute, LOV, make love, and LOV, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, sun shining, my Pope the King, and carpe diem it every day, Give charity if you're a millionaire. Reduce the tickets of the cost. NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%. Give some charity, some billions, and let's rebuild North America and play that defense coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And LOV, man.